What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down how to snap down. So we're going to be talking about this kind of like trigger step. We're going to be talking about a three-step breakdown, why I think a three-step breakdown is sometimes like kind of misconceived, is like really what a lot of people want to try to achieve, but at the end of the day, it's about selling vertical and dropping your hips, and we're going to be talking about a two-step breakdown on like a stop route, okay? So it's going to be the main mechanics of just snapping down, being able to create some explosion at the top of your routes, be able to get out of your breaks quickly and fastly, okay? But also, guys, what I want to talk to you about is something that we just started offering on my website. It's a video where it's 20 press releases with specific drills to work those press releases, but also the situations that you would use those releases against a press DB, okay? So we break down everything. It's a 45-minute long video with 20 different releases, 20 different plans off the line that you guys can use, and then specific drills to work those specific releases. Hope to get you guys on that soon. Let's get started with this video. So the first shot we're going to be looking at here is by Stephon Diggs. It's going to be just nice. He's just in practice, so let's watch this full speed, then we'll break it down. So coming off here, he snaps this thing off now. He takes 5 steps at the top of this break. So that's what we're going to mainly be focusing on right here, because the main thing I want y'all to understand is that everybody loves to talk about taking those 3 steps at the top, right? Where you snap with the outside leg, you pivot, then you hook around, and then you're out of the break, right? So now the thing about that is that's not an easy thing to achieve, right? Especially if you're maybe like a younger receiver, high school receiver. That's not an easy thing to do, and it takes time to build that. It takes time to get very smooth into your breaks. It takes time to be able to get out of your breaks in the least amount of steps possible. What I would like to focus on is getting out of breaks in the least amount of time possible, okay? So the main thing is that when you are here, 3 phases to every single route, you want to make sure that you're selling fade, okay? The whole point of the snap down is so you can sell fade, and the whole point of snapping down is so you can stop, right? And be able to stop on a dime after selling fade. But a lot of people get so caught up in taking 3 steps to the top of the break that they'll run up, slow down, pop their chest up, start chopping their steps right here, and then they break down, right? And it's very easy to do 3 steps when you're not going full speed, when you're not selling vertical, when you don't have a good pad level, when you're not in stride. So that's the main thing I want to focus on. I want y'all to be, you see how Diggs is doing a great job of just standing up and running, right? Because at the end of the day, we got to make the DB believe fade. But if I'm a receiver and I'm slowing down and I start chopping my steps, I raise my chest up and I take 3 steps at the top of the break, and then I got another receiver who's selling vertical and actually gets the DB to turn his hips, and he's taking 5 steps at the top of the break, he's got more explosion and he's going to be able to get out of the break faster because he used his hips to drop him down. But when you guys change your speed rather than use your hips to slow you down, that's when we have a problem, right? So you see how Diggs gets into this thing here. He snaps, right? Outside leg. On a curl route or like on a comeback route, I would teach your inside leg. On a curl route, I like to go with the outside leg. Reason being because it allows me to get out in the least amount of steps possible. Now everybody asks me, can I do a 2-step breakdown on a curl? Not really realistic, okay? Because you have to be able to run out of this thing. You have to be able to snap, open up your hips, and accelerate down this like 45. And if you guys go 2 steps, you're not opening up your inside hip to get out of it. A 2-step breakdown is something you would use on like a hitch route or a stop route, something like that, right? Or like maybe like a whip route, right? But on a curl or a comeback, you guys want to try to take that 3-step breakdown or this 5-step, right? Which is what we're going to be talking about right now. So when I say 3-step breakdown, I tread very lightly with that because, again, I don't want y'all to slow down into the break. We want to be able to snap with this outside leg, right? I'm being violent with my hips. That's the first snap, right? So the snap is what decelerates me because that gets me into that low explosive position. So what I mean by snapping down is you want to be aggressive with your hips and you want to be violent with your hips, right? So I'm aggressive, I'm in stride, and you see how his chin goes to his knee, right? Because you want to get in an explosive position. What so many people do is they'll snap down, but they'll reach. They'll reach way out in front of them and they'll lean back and then they're on their heels and they have no explosion. You want to get your chest forward, you want to snap, and then your second and third step are what gets your hips down this like 45 right here that we want to come back to the quarterback, because at the end of the day, it's a race back to this spot, especially if a DB's in zone and he's bailing out of there and he's backpedaling and we snap it down, he's going to be dropping his hips too. He's reacting off of me. That's why it's important to be sudden, to have no indicators on the route so we get this DB to bail out of there, right? So again, we snap. Now the second step here by Diggs, you see snap. Second step, his toes are pointed straight forward, which is why it's tough to get out of this in 3, because your third step is supposed to hook around and then your hips are already supposed to be open and you drive. But again, he just takes a 4th and a 5th step and he's able to get out. I would rather have extra steps at the top of the route than you guys slow down and get out in 3 steps. I would much rather have you take 5 steps at the top of the break than you guys to slow down and take 3. That's something that's so like just misguided, is that everybody gets, you got to take a 3-step breakdown. It's too many steps. Well, what about time? We want to cut out time spent spend. If I can take 5 steps faster than your 3 steps and I can sell vertical longer, I'm going to get more separation than you, right? But it's all about being able to cut out wasted time at the top of the route. Not so much steps. Wasted time is the goal, okay? But now, obviously, in a perfect world, we want to get 3 steps. You see guys like Diggs normally is out in pretty much in 3 steps, right? Jerry Judy's another great example out in 3 steps. Calvin Ridley's all these great route runners, Mari Cooper, they're able to cut out steps and time. And that's obviously the goal that we want to get to. That's obviously what we're shooting for. But again, if you're a younger receiver, high school guy, let's focus on selling vertical and dropping on a dime. The steps will come over time. I've seen it before. I've seen receivers constantly battle, and they eventually get out in that 3-step break. But selling fade is number 1, and being able to drop on a dime is number 2, so I can create some explosion at the top of this break, right? That's the entire goal. So making sure that we're snapping in stride. The steps don't matter at first. As we get better and better and better as we continue to progress, yes, the steps matter, but you being able to sell vertical and drop your hips on a dime, that's what matters. Let's watch the thing again, full speed one more time. Great job by Diggs selling vertical, snapping his hips off, and making sure we pump those arms and come back to that ball, okay? So now, we're going to be looking at this route by Jerry Judy here. So again, this is going to be another situation where you take 5 steps. This is more like a stop route in a way, coming back to this ball, but again, we want to be able to create energy at the top of the break because we are coming back to the ball. The only time I want to think of this is like a situation where you want to stop, where your snap brings you to stop. Is like a stop route or a hitch route, and we're going to get into that in a second. So you see how he's here, he's running in full stride, right? That's number 1. We got to be in a good pad level, good speed. What sells fade? Body language and speed. So again, that tells me I got to have my chest forward. I can't be raising my chest up. I don't want to raise, because imagine if a DB's an off man right here, and he's looking at us, and he starts to see us raise my chest up. He starts to see my number pop up. I'm going to sit on this thing because I know a break's coming, right? But if he sees me with my chest down, I'm in full stride. I'm pumping my arms, my chin's down, my eyes are up looking over his shoulder. That's what get him to bail out of there. That might get him to open up his gate, or that might get him to really backpedal out of there, but it's not going to get him to sit, right? So it's all about deception, all about trying to get him to believe fade and then being able to break it off right in stride. So again, you see how he's here and he snaps right in stride. No change in his stride length. And you see how he's, again, violent with that drop. You see how his chest comes forward and you see he's bringing his chin to his knee. That's the explosive position that we're trying to shoot for, because this position right here, it's like a 40-yard dash. You know that 40-yard dash, the first 10 yards, you're trying to create explosion. It's exactly what the break point is of a route. You're trying to sell vertical. You're trying to create explosion at the top, and at the same time you want to decelerate, but you're creating energy, and that being in that explosive pad level position shoots you back to that quarterback or shoots you away from that DB, because again, it's a race back to this spot. So I got to win that race, and I got to be able to create explosion from my hips to shoot me back to the ball. So that's most important when you're snapping down. You want to be in stride. Again, like I said previously, you want to be in stride, but your hips want to be violent, chin to your knee, get in that explosive position so you could run out of this thing. It's a great job by Judy. And again, you see an elite level route runner like Jerry Judy taking 5 steps at the top of this break. However, it's about being able to sell vertical. We can always cut out steps. Steps will come. And we're going to show that an example right now of steps. But steps will get better, right? But the main thing, if you're a receiver and you're trying to get better at getting out of your breaks faster, you're trying to create more explosion at the top of the break, you're trying to get out of your routes faster, you got to focus on selling vertical, and you got to focus on using your hips to slow you down, not steps. If you're going out there and you're not the best route runner, you should not be really thinking about steps at all, right? You should be thinking about vertical, selling fade, and dropping your hips, using your hips to decelerate you. You will eliminate steps as you get more comfortable with this, right? Maybe what you do at first is you cut down the distance, right? You cut down, like, let's say you want to get better, like your team, you're an outside receiver, and you guys run a lot of 15 back to 12 comebacks, right? Maybe we cut the distance down to about 8 yards first, and we work on my hips decelerating me, selling vertical for those 8 yards. Then we progressively get further and further, not just go run out there right now, because that's impossible to do. You got to do drills that build up into that. Let's watch the thing again, full speed one more time. Great job snapping in stride, violent drop of those hips. That's a way to get out of that break. So now we're going to be looking at this route by Tyler Boyd. So now we're going to be talking about what happens when you do get out in 3 steps, right? So you see how he's running, he's able to snap this off. He kind of takes this little stutter step, but again, when you're here and you want to get out of this break in 3 steps, it's real important that, again, you're in stride when you drop, and you see this violent drop of his hips. He's being aggressive with his hips. It's like his hips, the way I think of it, the way I tell my guys is like, you see those like guillotines in old like ancient times or medieval times where they drop, right? They cut the dude's head off. That's how you want to think of your hips. You want to just drop right now, suddenly. Now, again, he snaps. Then that second step is that pivot step. That third step is that hook step, because that's what drives you off that break. He takes that little stutter step right there. But again, it's a snap, pivot, then hook. Those are the 3 steps that you want to be able to shoot for eventually. So that's for the more advanced route runner, the guy who's more comfortable snapping down in 3 steps, who maybe has already got down selling vertical, who's already got the hip drop down. And now it's about cutting out details. Now it's about eliminating those steps at the top because you've already eliminated that extra time that you spend by slowing down. So the most important steps is that snap, then the second step pivots you, third step hooks around, and you're driving off that third step to create that explosion, okay? So that's pretty good. I know Tyler Boyd takes a little bit of that stutter step right there, but the first 3 steps are what we're trying to get to. And again, you see how hard it is to get out in 3 steps because Boyd still takes that little stutter step right there. He gets his hips out in 3 steps. That's the right technique, but again, it's all about being able to stop on a dime because you see how much this DB commits to the fade and drop on a dime. He cannot react like that because imagine trying to do this, and this is something that I do with my receivers, is I'll have them, we're going to get into this route here by Johnson in a second. This is going to be a 2-step breakdown. But imagine running full speed downfield. Full speed, and then somebody just gives you a command like a drop. And you have to drop and you have to get out of a break and run a 45 comeback. It's a very, very hard thing to do. That's very, very tough to do. Very hard to get out of that thing in least amount of steps possible, least amount of times possible. Most guys have a drift with the route when we do that, right? So that's something that you guys got to understand from a DB. They don't know when that break's coming unless you tell them with your pad level, with your speed change. So make sure I'm selling fade, dropping on a dime. So now we're going to be looking at this stop route here from Johnson. Now this is again where I like the inside snap down, right? I like the inside leg snap because I feel like when we're doing a stop route, we just need to stop right there so we can get out in 2. The whole point of the 3-step breakdown or the 5-step like we were talking about because we take extra steps is so you can run out of the break, right? That's the whole point of it, right? But it's stop route, you just got to sit right there, right? You just got to be able to decelerate. So what does he do? He snaps on his inside leg, and again, what's he doing? Trying to get this DB to commit fade. I'm selling with body language, selling with eyes, selling with speed. I'm staying in stride, pumping my arms. I'm driving right on a dime. And you see when he snaps, it's just a violent snap where it's his chin going to his knee, pad level's going forward, weight is not on his heels. It's on that like middle part of his foot, right? He just stops right there. DB has to react. DB's forced to react off of us. And if the ball's out on time from the quarterback, then we have this good ball. So that's how you would do a 2-step breakdown, right? Making sure I'm selling fade, inside leg snapping me down. You want to drop on the inside leg, hook in the outside leg around, and I can just sit right in that window. Let's watch it again, full speed one more time. So Johnson does a great job pumping those arms. Drop 2 out of this thing in 2 steps. Just decelerate yourself. All right, guys, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope this video gave you guys some value on just how to get out of your breaks a little bit smoother, how to create some energy at the top of the route. And guys, if you want that video, 45 minutes of 20 press releases, specific drills, and the specific plan that you need going into a game, when to use the specific releases, check out that very first link in the description, guys. If you have any questions at all, please leave those in the comments. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. I'll see you guys next time.